Welcome to the world of science fiction Neon's Alien. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and tap the notification bell so you never miss a new story from Neon's Alien universe. The hot sun hung above the dry land of Texas. Jack West, a rugged cowboy with dirt on his boots and sweat on his brow, wiped his face with a handkerchief. His horses were calm, chewing on hay in the old wooden stable. It was a quiet day. Too quiet. Then the sky cracked. A flash of bright blue light split the clouds like a knife. The earth trembled slightly, and a low humming noise echoed across the desert. Jack dropped his shovel and turned toward the noise. Out near the ridge, something was falling from the sky. Fast. Within seconds, a small craft slammed into the dry sand, kicking up a storm of dust and fire. Jack ducked, covering his face. His horse neighed in panic. From far off, the metal object hissed and glowed, half buried in the ground. Smoke rose. It wasn't a plane. It wasn't anything he had ever seen. Jack grabbed his rifle, mounted his horse, and rode toward the crash site. As he approached, he could see the shape more clearly. It was silver, smooth, and shaped like a long teardrop. Strange glowing symbols ran along its side. It made no sound, just a slow hiss like steam leaking from deep inside. Then something moved. A hatch opened. Slowly. Jack pointed his rifle, heart racing. Out of the smoke stepped a figure, tall, slender, and glowing slightly under the sun. A woman, but not human. Her skin was pale silver, with a soft shimmer like moonlight. Her hair was long, black, and floated slightly as if underwater. Her eyes were wide and glowing faint blue. She wore a strange, elegant outfit with golden bands on her wrists. One band flashed as she stumbled forward. She looked weak, tired, lost. Jack lowered his rifle. The woman took 3 steps toward him, then collapsed into the sand. Whoa, whoa. Jack jumped off his horse and rushed to her side. Hey, can you hear me? Her lips moved, but no words came out. Her hand reached toward him, shaking. Water, she whispered. Jack blinked. She spoke English. Or at least something that sounded like it. All right, hang in there. He quickly pulled out his canteen and poured water gently into her mouth. She drank slowly, her hands trembling. When she opened her eyes again, she looked at him deeply. You are the one? Jack frowned. The one what? She didn't answer. Her eyes rolled back and she fainted. Back at the ranch, Jack placed her gently on a bed in his old guest room. The place was dusty, with a broken fan and a window that didn't shut properly, but it was shelter. He brought more water, a blanket, and tried to figure out what just happened. The alien woman was breathing steadily now. She had strange cuts on her arms, glowing slightly, but they didn't bleed like human wounds. Jack watched her for a moment, unsure what to do. He had seen many things in his life. Floods, fires, even a bear once, but never an alien. He sat by the door, shotgun close, waiting for her to wake up. Hours later, she opened her eyes. She looked around, confused, then saw Jack. I am not here to harm, she said softly. Please, I only came for healing. Jack raised an eyebrow. Healing? She sat up slowly, wincing in pain. My name is Varela. I am a widow of the Saran race. It is our custom to travel far after loss to find peace or rebirth. Jack didn't understand everything, but he heard pain in her voice. Deep pain. So, what, you're just passing through? He asked. Varela looked down. No, my body has chosen this planet, Earth, and you are nearby. The ring speaks. She lifted her wrist. The golden band glowed softly. Jack's eyes narrowed. The glowing increased as he stepped closer. Is this some kind of alien magic? He asked. She smiled faintly. No, just fate. Jack sighed. Lady, I don't know who you are or what you want, but I don't hurt people who need help. You can stay until you're better. Then we'll figure out what to do. Varela looked at him with deep, shining eyes. Thank you, human cowboy. Your kindness is rare." Outside, the stars began to glow. Far above Earth, in the dark silence of space, a signal pulsed from the crashed ship. It was small, almost invisible, but someone, somewhere, had received it, and they were coming. The old farmhouse creaked as the wind blew gently through its cracked windows. Jack sat on the porch with a cup of coffee in his hand, watching the alien woman sleep through the open door. The sky had turned orange. Sunset was always peaceful here, until now. She wasn't just an alien. She was a mystery. Jack wasn't the kind of man to trust strangers. But this silver-skinned woman had crashed into his life without warning, and something deep inside him said she wasn't just passing by. She needed him. That night, Varela woke up again. She stood quietly at the window, staring out at the dark land. "I've never seen stars like this," she whispered. Jack, still awake, looked up from his chair. "You're from space. You've got stars everywhere." She smiled, softly. "Yes, but not like yours. Your sky feels kind." Jack stood up and poured her a cup of warm milk. He didn't know what aliens drank, but it was all he had. She took it in both hands. "Thank you, Cowboy." "That's Jack," he said, walking toward her. "Jack. West." "Jack," she repeated, like it was a sacred word. In the days that followed, Jack taught her simple things: how to use a fork, how to open a door without scanning it, how to light a fire using wood instead of plasma sparks. She watched, his every move carefully, like a child learning for the first time. Once she followed him to the barn. The horses neighed and moved nervously when they saw her. But Jack spoke calmly to them. "Easy, boys. She's all right." Then something strange happened. Varela stepped forward and touched one of the horses. It stopped shaking. "He understands my sorrow," she whispered. "Animals feel pain, even if it's not theirs." Jack stared at her. "How do you know that? My people bond with emotion. We sense more than just words. Your animals, they carry memories." Jack didn't understand most of it, but he saw how the horse leaned into her hand, calm and still. And for the first time he wondered, maybe she wasn't just lost. Maybe she was guided here for a reason. One evening they sat under the stars on the wooden steps of the porch. Jack broke the silence. "So what happened? To your husband?" Varela didn't answer right away. She closed her eyes. "War. A long, terrible war. I was his mate bond. When he died, my spirit was damaged. In our culture, a widow must seek a soul touch to restore her essence. A new bond, a final chance." Jack looked away. "Sounds like a lot of pressure." "It is," she said quietly. "But we do not choose the one. The ring does." Jack glanced at her wrist. That golden band still pulsed with soft light whenever he stood near her. "What if the ring's wrong?" he asked. "It never is." They sat in silence again. The next day, trouble arrived. Sheriff McCall pulled up in a dusty truck, spitting sand as he parked near Jack's barn. Jack met him at the gate. "Morning, Sheriff." The old man didn't smile. "Got reports. Strange. Lights in the sky. Loud noise. Folks say they saw something fall near your land." Jack shrugged. "Just a meteor, maybe." "Funny," McCall said, looking around. "You don't seem like the type to ignore falling stars." Jack smiled faintly. "Well, maybe I got used to strange things." The sheriff narrowed his eyes. "That so?" Just then, Varela peeked from the window. Her glowing blue eyes met McCall's and vanished behind the curtain. McCall noticed. "That your cousin?" Jack didn't blink. "Yeah. She's not from around here." The sheriff paused, sensing something was off. But he didn't push further. "All right, Jack, but keep your eyes open. Strange things come with strange people." As the truck pulled away, Jack exhaled deeply. Virella stepped out behind him. "I didn't mean to bring danger," she said. Jack looked at her. "You didn't bring it, but it's clearly following you." That night, while Jack fixed a broken fence under the moonlight, Virella walked out quietly and stood beside him. "Why are you helping me?" she asked. He wiped his hands on his jeans. "I don't know. Maybe because no one helped me when I needed it." Virella touched his hand. The ring on her wrist pulsed stronger than ever. Her voice trembled. "Maybe. Fate has brought us together." Jack looked at her, not as a visitor from space, but as someone who had seen pain, like him. Someone who had lost everything, like him. He didn't say a word. He just nodded. Above them, far in orbit, a hunter ship received a signal. Virella had been found. The morning sun painted golden lines across the fields. Jack was feeding the chickens when he felt someone watching him. He turned. Virella stood barefoot on the porch, wearing one of his old shirts like a robe. Her silver skin shimmered in the sunlight. Her eyes were locked on him, curious, intense, almost afraid. "You work every morning," she said softly. Jack tossed feed into the coop. "That's how things survive out here. You feed it or it dies." She stepped down, walking slowly across the dry ground. "Is that how you treat your heart too?" Jack froze. He didn't answer. Inside the house, Virella sat at the kitchen table, tracing the edge of her cup. Jack poured coffee but didn't sit. "I need to tell you something," she said. Jack leaned against the counter, arms crossed. She spoke slowly, carefully. "My people don't just travel to new worlds for peace. Our culture believes that after deep grief, a widow must find someone whose soul is unlinked. If that bond forms, it heals us. And if the bond is true, life begins again. New life." Jack raised an eyebrow. "Are you saying you're here to get pregnant?" She met his gaze. "Not just to conceive, to find rebirth emotionally, spiritually. The child is just a sign, but the bond, that's real." Jack chuckled, but it wasn't joyful. "Lady, you're talking about soulmates, glowing bracelets, and alien pregnancies. I'm just a cowboy. I meant fences and shoot coyotes." Virella looked down. "But the ring chose you." He walked over, standing just close enough to see the golden band glow on her wrist again. "What if your fancy alien tech is broken?" She looked up. "Then why does it only glow near you?" Later that day, Jack went to the barn alone. He leaned against the wooden beam, head heavy with thought. Her words kept echoing in his mind. Chosen by fate. Rebirth. A child. He wasn't a man who believed in destiny. He barely believed in himself. Years ago, he had loved once. She left. Took his trust and left a hole in his chest that never fully closed. And now this alien widow, who barely knew Earth, who spoke of soul bonds and cosmic healing, was saying that hole in his chest made him perfect. That night, lightning cracked. Across the sky, a storm rolled in fast. Rain hit the roof in heavy waves. Virella stood by the window watching it fall. Her hand was pressed against the glass. "I saw storms like this only once," she said quietly. "It was the night my mate died." Jack entered the room. "You okay?" She nodded slowly. "Yes, but you're not." He didn't argue. He poured himself whiskey, took a sip, then offered the bottle to her. She sniffed it and coughed. "Smells like fire." Jack laughed. "Tastes worse." She sat beside him, her shoulder brushing his. The moment was quiet, heavy. The wind howled outside like a voice in pain. Then softly, Virella said, "Do you want to feel again, Jack?" He turned. "What?" She placed her hand on his chest. "You shut your heart. I can feel it, but I see a man who's good, kind, strong. You don't need to be alone." He looked into her glowing eyes, and then he kissed her. It was slow, warm, deep, but as their lips touched, the golden band on her wrist burst into bright light. Suddenly, a sharp sound buzzed from outside the house, Both of them froze. Jack grabbed his rifle. Varela stood still, eyes wide. They've found me. Jack peered out the window. In the sky, red lights. Two fast-moving ships hovered above the hills. Their undercarriages opened. Dark shapes descended. Armed, armored. Jack turned to her. You knew they were coming? She nodded. When the bond completes, my people sense it. But others, enemies, they sense it too. Why? Jack asked. Because my child will be the first of its kind, human and Saran. That makes it a threat. Jack blinked. Wait. Already? She looked away. When a Saran bonds completely, the change happens quickly. Jack's hands clenched the rifle tighter. This wasn't just about feelings anymore. This was war. And he was in it. Rain poured hard onto the roof, each drop sounding like a drum of warning. Inside the small farmhouse, everything was quiet, except the silence between them. Varela sat at the edge of the bed, hands on her stomach. Her golden wristband still glowed from the kiss. Her expression had changed, no longer calm, no longer searching. She knew. Jack stood across the room, trying to breathe. His fingers twitched around the rifle sling on his shoulder. The woman who had fallen from the stars, the one he brought home out of pity, had kissed him. And something impossible had started growing inside her. This can't be real, Jack whispered. Varela looked at him gently. It's real. I can feel the spark inside me. Jack turned away, stepping outside into the storm. Lightning flashed. He walked into the rain, boots sinking in mud. Back in the barn, Jack slammed the door shut behind him. He leaned on the wooden beam, gripping it tight. She's pregnant, he muttered to himself. After one kiss? He wanted to laugh, but nothing felt funny anymore. This wasn't a story from a crazy magazine. This was real. Too real. And now, two alien ships were circling above the hills. Someone was watching. Someone dangerous. The kiss didn't just change her. It changed him. Inside the house, Varela stood in front of the mirror. She touched her face, her stomach, her glowing wrist. It started, she whispered. The child grows. But it wasn't just a child. In her culture, it was a rebirth, a final proof that her soul had healed, a bond so strong it created life. But this child was part human. It would be hated, hunted. Outside the mirror's reflection, she saw movement in the shadows. A blinking red light. Someone was near. That night, Varela joined Jack by the old fireplace. The storm had passed, but the tension had not. Jack poured 2 cups of hot tea. His hand still shook. I didn't ask for this, he said. I know, she replied. I'm not ready to be a father. She didn't speak. I don't know how to raise a half-alien child. I'm just a man who owns horses and fixes fences. Still, she didn't speak. I don't even know what you're running from. Varela finally looked up. My child will be a symbol. It will change everything. That scares them. Some of my people want peace. Others want to erase anything that threatens our purity. Jack stared into the fire. So, what now? You give birth, and we spend the rest of our lives hiding? No, she said firmly. We protect what's ours. Jack looked at her, truly looked at her. She wasn't just a widow now. She was a mother. His heart beat faster. She was carrying his child, and that changed everything. Suddenly, the wind outside picked up again, not natural wind, something stronger. The ground rumbled. Jack ran to the door. A ship hovered low above his. Land, shining blue beams across the field. Machines crawled out from its sides, spider-like scouts searching the ground. He grabbed his rifle and turned to Varela. Go to the cellar, hide, she shook her head. If they scan me, they'll know. I'll distract them. You'll die. Jack gave a crooked smile. Better than hiding behind a pregnant woman. Before she could answer, he was already gone. He stepped out into the field, soaked from the rain, rifle in hand. One of the spider drones moved toward him. It made a clicking noise, scanning his body. Jack fired. The machine sparked and collapsed. From the ship above, a voice echoed in a strange, harsh language, then in English. "Surrender the Saran female, or perish." Jack raised his rifle higher. "Come take her yourself." From the ship's belly, a figure descended, tall, armored, and holding a staff of light. Jack had never seen anything so terrifying, but he didn't flinch. The alien warrior stepped forward. "You are no match for me, human," Jack spat in the dirt. "Maybe, but I'm her match." He raised his rifle again, and just as the warrior lunged forward, Varela stepped out from behind the barn, glowing, radiant. The golden band on her wrist pulsed in rhythm with her heartbeat. "You want me?" she shouted. "Then face the bond." Suddenly, a wave of bright energy exploded from her chest, knocking the warrior back into the mud. The child inside her had awakened. Smoke still rose from the shattered scout drone as Jack helped Varela back into the barn. Her breath was shaky. The golden band on her wrist flickered like a heartbeat. Her entire body seemed to glow faintly, more now than ever. "What happened out there?" Jack asked, closing the barn doors behind them. "I think the baby protected me," Varela said, holding her stomach. "It sensed danger." Jack stared at her. "You mean our baby just blasted a full-grown alien into a ditch?" She looked up. "Yes," Jack blinked. "Well, he's definitely mine." Above the land, the main alien ship circled lower. Inside the command deck, 3 armored Saran enforcers stood around a glowing map. The leader, a battle-scarred male named Commander Zorith, slammed his fist on the console. "She has bonded with a human," he growled. "That union is forbidden. Her child is corrupted." An officer beside him hesitated. "But sir, Saran law says once a widow bonds, her choice cannot be challenged." Zorith's eyes burned. "That law was written for our kind, not for creatures mixed with dirt and bone." He pressed a button. A red beam highlighted Jack's ranch on the display. "Burn it to ash. Take her. Leave nothing." Back on Earth, Jack and Varela hid in the cellar under the barn. The ground above them trembled as alien machines scanned the property. Jack checked his old radio. Dead. He loaded bullets into a lever-action rifle, one by one. "You're going to fight all of them alone?" Varela asked. Jack looked at her. "Not alone." He pulled back a tarp in the corner. Under it lay 2 old hunting rifles, a dusty shotgun, and sticks of dynamite. Varela raised an eyebrow. "What is that?" Jack smirked. "My backup plan." As the alien ships descended fully, mechanical walkers began stomping across the fields. Huge spider-like machines. Red lights scanned every inch. They moved toward the barn. Inside, Jack gave Varela a communicator he had rigged from parts. "If I don't make it back, get to the canyon. There's an old mine shaft they won't detect." She grabbed his hand. "No, we stay together." Jack hesitated, then kissed her forehead. "You already carry the best part of me. Now let me do the rest." Outside, under the stormy sky, Jack stood alone on the porch. His hat shadowed his face. His rifle was strapped to his back. Dynamite tied to his belt. From the dark trees, 3 armored Saran soldiers stepped forward. Tall, masked, with glowing staffs. The leader shouted, "You are protecting a traitor to her species." Jack didn't move. "She's not a traitor. She's a mother." The soldier raised his staff. "That's a crime punishable by death." Jack reached into his coat slowly. "Then I guess I'm guilty too." Boom. The first stick of dynamite went off behind them, under the walker machine. Fire shot high into the air as metal legs flew in every direction. The soldiers turned, but Jack was already charging forward. Gunfire, explosions, screams. Jack fought like a wild force. Years of ranching made him strong. Pain made him fearless. And love made him unstoppable. In the cellar, Varela winced. She could feel every blast like it shook her bones. Then suddenly, silence. She climbed out, afraid of what she would see. The land was scorched, machines in flames, alien bodies scattered, but no sign of Jack. Then she heard coughing. From the edge of the crater, Jack dragged himself out, bloody, limping but alive. Varela ran to him. He looked up with a broken smile. "You owe me a foot rub." She laughed through her tears, but above them the main ship began to shift. The sky darkened again. Commander Zorth himself stepped out, 10 feet tall in living armor, eyes glowing red. He pointed at Varela. "You chose death, widow." Jack tried to stand but fell to one knee. Varela stood tall. "I chose life." She stepped forward, and the golden band on her wrist split open, releasing a spiral of light. A shield surrounded her, and behind her Jack Zorth raised his weapon. "Your bond means nothing." Varela held her glowing belly. "It means everything." As Zorth charged, a massive light exploded from within her, throwing him back across the field. He screamed in pain and disappeared. The ship above flickered, then pulled away, retreating. They had lost. Varela dropped to her knees beside Jack. "It's over." Jack, bruised and bleeding, whispered, "Is the baby okay?" She smiled. "The baby is strong, like you." He leaned back against her. "Good, because they're going to need to be." Smoke curled across the land like ghosts of the fallen. Jack lay on the cracked earth, his shirt torn and soaked in blood. One eye was nearly swollen shut, but he smiled, because the ship was gone. The enemy had pulled back. Beside him, Varela held his hand tightly. Her glowing skin now pulsed a soft golden light from her belly, proof of the bond and the life inside. Her. She wiped dirt from his face gently, tears silently falling. "You're hurt," she whispered. Jack coughed and winced. "Yeah, but I've been worse. Had a horse fall on me once." She tried to smile, but her lip trembled. Then she said something she had never said before. "Don't die, Jack. I'm not ready to be alone again." But peace was short. Above the hills, the sky shifted once more. Not one, but 3 Siran ships appeared this time, sleek and black, shaped like daggers. Jack blinked. "You've got to be kidding me." Varela stood up, fire in her eyes. "They didn't come to arrest me this time. They came to erase me. Erase us." Jack struggled to stand, using his rifle for support. "Then we make our last stand, right here." Varela looked at him with fierce love. "You're only human, you can't win." Jack grinned. "You say that like it's a bad thing." In town, Sheriff McCall watched the sky from his porch. He narrowed his eyes as ships darkened the horizon again. He lit a cigar. "Damn fool Cowboy's doing something crazy," he muttered. Then he grabbed his hat and shotgun. Back at the ranch, Jack loaded every last bullet he had. Varela activated her wristband again. The golden circle spread across her hand like armor. "You should leave," he told her. "Run while you still can." She stepped close. "You gave me life again, Jack. I'm not leaving without you." He nodded. Together they walked out into the field just as the ships opened fire. Explosions tore the earth apart. Jack rolled and fired, hitting one of the spider drones in the eye. Varela used her energy shield to block plasma blasts, redirecting one into a ship engine. But the enemy kept coming. Dozens of armored Siran warriors dropped from the sky. One of them tackled Jack. He fought hard using fists and boots, but they were stronger. Just when the warrior raised his blade, boom! Sheriff McCall fired from a hilltop, blowing the attacker away. "Didn't I tell you to keep your nose clean, West?" McCall shouted. Behind him stood a group of local farmers and ranchers, armed, ready. Jack laughed despite the pain. "You showed up." "I figured you'd need backup, Cowboy." Together, human and alien, man and widow, fought side by side. Jack shot straight and fast. Varela moved like lightning, her powers growing stronger with every strike. At one point, she lifted an entire armored vehicle and threw it across the field. But then, the final ship landed, and from it stepped a Siran female in black. She was the High Judicator, the one who enforced Siran purity laws. She looked at Varela with disgust. You polluted your bloodline with dirt. The child must be removed. Varela stepped forward. You cannot break what's already born. The judicator pointed a spear at Jack. And he must be ended. Jack raised his rifle, chest heaving. You'll have to go through me. The judicator charged. So did Jack. It all happened in a flash. They collided midfield. Jack managed to shoot her once, she screamed, but her blade cut deep into his side. Blood soaked his shirt. He fell to the ground. Varela screamed. Jack! She ran toward him, unleashing a storm of energy so powerful, the judicator flew into the air and crashed into her own ship. The sky glowed gold. The ships blinked and retreated. The war was over. Varela dropped to her knees beside Jack. He was pale, his breathing shallow. She held him close, pressing her forehead to his. You saved me. You saved our child, she whispered. Jack tried to smile. Guess I'm a father now. You're more than that. You're my bondmate, my hero, my heart. Jack's eyes fluttered closed. But then, Varela's wristband glowed bright white. She placed it on his chest. A pulse of energy surged through him. His breath returned. He gasped and coughed. What was that? Varela smiled through tears. Saran life gift. You gave me everything. I returned a piece of my soul. He reached up, touching her cheek. I'm not done yet, he whispered. Not while you two still need me. A soft wind moved through the tall grass. The sun rose gently over Jack's ranch, touching the burned ground with gold. Where once machines and fire had rained down, now silence and peace returned. Inside the farmhouse, everything had changed. Baby cried for the first time. Varela held the child close to her chest, her glowing skin dim now, soft and warm like morning light. The baby was small, wrapped in a blanket Jack had stitched together from old shirts. The child's skin shimmered faintly silver, with a small patch of brown hair. His father's color. Jack sat on the edge of the bed, still bandaged, still healing. But his smile was stronger than ever. Is it a boy or girl? He asked, eyes full of emotion. Varela looked at the tiny hand gripping her finger. Neither. Both. Saran children choose their path when they're older. Jack laughed lightly. Guess I've got more to learn. She smiled. You always do. The town had changed too. Where people once feared the alien woman, they now brought gifts, clothes, food, and even toys for the strange but beautiful baby. Sheriff McCall personally promised protection. No more running, he told Jack. You've earned your place, both of you. Some called the child a miracle, others whispered legends. But no one dared speak of war anymore, not after what they saw. One quiet evening, Jack stood outside the house, holding the baby in one arm. He rocked slowly on the porch, staring up at the sky. I never wanted a family, he said softly. But now I can't imagine a life without one. Varela stepped beside him. I came here to heal, but I found more. I found home. They stood in silence, watching the stars. Then a familiar sound filled the sky. A ship, but not like before. This one was white, gentle, peaceful. It hovered above the trees and slowly landed in the field beyond the fence. Varela stiffened. That's my people, the council. Jack held her hand. What do they want? I don't know. 3 Saran elders stepped down from the ship, robes flowing, eyes glowing with calm light. No weapons, no soldiers. The lead elder, a woman with white hair and blue markings on her face, bowed deeply. Varela of House Ceylon, we have watched, we have seen. Varela held her child tighter. If you've come to take my baby, you will fail. The elder smiled. No, we've come to learn. She stepped forward and looked at the human child. Her voice softened. For centuries we feared change, but your bond has shown us hope, a bridge between worlds. Jack narrowed his eyes. So, you're not here to erase us? No, the elder replied. We are here to offer protection and recognition. The child is now part of both worlds, she bowed again. And so are you. The Saran ship left peacefully, fading into the sky like a dream. Jack stood quietly, still holding the baby. Varela leaned into him. You're not just a cowboy anymore. He looked down at the child. Yeah, I'm a husband, a father, and a damn lucky man. Months passed, flowers grew where fire once burned. The ranch came back to life. Jack built a new barn, stronger, bigger. Varela planted strange glowing seeds in the soil, gifts from her people. They grew into beautiful blue flowers that shimmered in the moonlight. At night, Jack would sit on the porch, guitar in hand, the child in a small basket beside him. Varela humming alien lullabies. Sometimes he looked up at the stars and whispered, "Thank you for crashing into my life." And far above, the stars blinked back. Because somewhere between grief and love, between war and peace, a cowboy and a widow had changed the fate of two worlds. All it took was one act of kindness and one unforgettable kiss.